Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gora Premanandi, Hari Om.
Good at it now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. How's everyone? That's it. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. So today we're gonna continue presenting some essential teachings from the Bhagavad-gita. The Bhagavad-gita is also called the Gita Upanishad. And Upanishad means confidential teaching. So the Vedas have so many instructions, so many books of knowledge, from health to architecture to yoga of different kinds, the absolute truth, our own identity, the science of karma, reincarnation, etc. So many things. In fact, too many things for us to understand even in one lifetime. There is statements that explains that it will take a lifetime, a whole lifetime. Generally, how long does it take a university course, more or less? 3-4 years, right? So if you have 50-year, 75-year course, that means there's something very, very serious, right? Because it's not about only understanding things, but also transforming our consciousness. That's the highest instruction that the Vedas gives us. So today we're going to present something about the Bhagavad-gita. And one of the main questions when we read this book and other books in the Bhakti tradition is, where does this knowledge come from? Right? And many of these words that now are part of the mainstream life, like yoga and asana and pranayama, and so many of these words come actually from the Vedas. They are explained in the Vedas. All these concepts are explained in the Vedas. And they are given in the Sanskrit language. Yeah? Sanskrit is the language of the Vedas. Therefore, we have the Bhagavad-gita, and Gita means song. And why is it called song? Because Sanskrit is a language that you sing, right? So the hinos mean jatadehe, so it has rhythm, it has pitch and like that, melody. And also is explained that with melody it's easier to learn things, right? Remember when we were little and then they teach you the rhymes and these different things with music and melody like that, A, B, C, D, yeah? So we learn, it's easier to learn. And it's very relishable also. So, the source of the Gita, the source of this information is from the Vedas. That's the authoritative source. Where does this come from? Does someone just speculated and felt inspired and start writing books left and right? Or it comes from somewhere more ancient, more, from millennia? Where does this knowledge come from? So, it comes from the Vedas. That's the simple answer. So, the question is, what are the Vedas? So I just brought some things that help us to understand, some few slides. But I just wanted to mention that in the Bhagavad-gita, Lord Krishna, presents the Vedic concepts to his disciple and friend and cousin, warrior Arjuna. And when he's presenting the knowledge that he has been given up to 12 chapters, in the 13th chapter, because Arjuna was kind of in a shock. He was in emotional distress. He was perplexed. He didn't know what to do with his life. Why am I doing this? You have those situations where sometimes you question, what am I doing with my life, We know that at some point this body's going to die, so all these endeavor, putting up with this, that, so many things. So he had a moment like that. So Krishna explained to him the basics of the Vedas. So the Gita has 18 chapters. Yeah? How many verses? Who remembers? 700? You better know that. Okay, after all these. So 18 chapters divided in 3 parts. The first section, the first 6 chapters, they talk about our identity, who are we spiritually, also explain how do we function in the world, what we are meant to do, what is my duty in life, what is the process of knowledge, what are the experiences that we go through. All these things are presented in the first 6 chapters. And finally, that first section ends with our thinking process. What are we meant to think to achieve perfection? You know how many thousands of thoughts you have per day, more or less? Have you come across those studies or articles or somebody mentioning? You know how many thousands of thoughts per day? Anyone? 1,000? 10? 10,000? Okay. 50? 50? Or 15? 50, 50. Okay, it's like auction. Who gives more? Some studies say that from 60 to 80 and even more 1,000 thoughts per day. Right? Every time because that's my line of work, and every time I come across those studies, I wonder, how do they count? I say, okay, should I take rice with dal, or bread with this, or fruit with this, orange or apple, with a clicker. Anyway, so the point is that the most active part of our life is thinking. We are thinking thousands and thousands and thousands of things every single day. And if you can think a little, your thinking day, it's very different from the next day and the previous day. Would you say? The things that you think today could be significantly different from yesterday. Right? Would you say? Yeah? Thinking, whatever thinking, your thoughts are not exactly the same every single day. Okay, yeah, I have to eat, I have to brush my teeth, I have to go to sleep. Certain things are similar. But the details, it's cold, it's colder, it's warmer, this person, new person, this, that, what I'm going to do, etc. Past, present, and future, it's reeling in our minds. So our thinking is quite an active thing. Therefore, the Gita aims at that in the 6th chapter, the yoga of thinking, dhyana yoga. More accurate translation to that is the meditation, the yoga of meditation. And meditation is nothing else than a very focused way of thinking. Meditation comes also from Latin, that you put your mind in the middle, like mediate, like you put the mind in the middle. So, all these things are presented in the first section, and then the source of everything is described in the middle sections. The middle sections we have the absolute truth, knowledge of the absolute, attaining the supreme. Who's reading Bhagavad-gita here? Yeah? Just started? Good, because I don't want to discourage you. So Bhagavad-gita is like a mountain, and it's like hiking, going up the mountain. So in the middle section, we find the explanation of our source. Where do we come from? That's the answer that's a question that is presented. And the Vedas do present these questions, but as I said, there are many, many books, and practically, even if we dedicate a whole lifetime, it's impossible to know all the Vedas. Therefore, the Gita, or the Gita Upanishad, which is considered an essential teaching that comprises the main instructions of the Vedas, is presented for our benefit. It's just 700 verses. How many chapters? 18 chapters. Okay? And it's divided simply in three aspects, three things, three sort of information categories, right? So the question is, where does this knowledge come from? And Krishna refers to this for the first time, or explicitly, he says it, overtly. He says, okay. That knowledge of the field of activities. This is 13 chapters, so we already have advanced to some extent. So I will backpedal from this. But I just wanted to emphasize the point that the Gita itself, Krishna himself, teaches about the Vedas, or he refers to the Vedas. That knowledge of the field of activities, that means the body. And the knower of activities, that means the soul, right? You say, my body. Right? You say, my hand. So you own that hand or that leg. My eye, my finger, my. So who's that owner? Huh? So that knower of activities is described. So the body and the soul is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. Various Vedic writings. This is chapter 13, text number 5. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra is another essential book from the Vedic teachings. Somebody can open maybe the other door. Oh, is that one? Okay, cool. It's working. Okay. Especially in the Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra means, Hare Krishna? Vedanta Sutra means, it's another one of those special books from the Vedas, which are considered the essence, also essential, right? With all reasoning as to cause and effect. With all reasoning as to cause and effect. So that there is a mentioning of the Vedas in that verse 13.5. There's another one which is even more direct in regards of the Vedas, and that we find in chapter 15, text number 15. It's easy to remember, 15:15. And Krishna says in that verse, again, this is 15 chapters, so you can stay if you wanna. You can sit. Take some pravarchan as you like. I am seated in everyone's heart. Now Krishna is talking in his position as the Supreme. And he's explaining how the Supreme Lord is manifested in three aspects. One aspect is energy. It's called Brahman. Everything is a spirit, everything is energy. Yeah? And then we can see who arranges for the sun to rise at a certain time every day. Somebody does it, right? If you go and wait for the train or for the bus, somebody is arranging for that to happen at a certain time, correct? Yeah? Isn't it or not? Right? Somebody is arranging electricity to reach us, right? Somebody is behind all that. Huh? But sometimes we take things for granted and we don't think that just like this sort of energy, manifestations of energy, it has a person behind. So in the same way, for example, the sun It rises. And right now, you can Google it, and you know exactly what time it's going to rise tomorrow. Yes? You will know exactly. And what time it's going to set. And like that, you can see even ahead of time. So it just happens by chance, by accident. So the Vedas explain all this, how we can understand the phenomenon in life. And most important, this is why this Bhagavad-gita is considered very central, essential for our understanding in terms of a spiritual advancement. Because God, the presence of the Supreme, the Absolute, can be perceived in nature, right? And we can see it. And the sun, the moon, the ocean, all these things. How is it that there's something higher than my limited capacity to manipulate nature or even to understand it? And in the Bhagavad-gita, another aspect of the Lord is explained. And that aspect is that the Lord is also manifested not only in nature, but also within our hearts. Huh? And the way that is understood is sometimes by observing the intuition that, for example, animals have, right? The soul has three characteristics. The soul, we were talking about this last week, I think. Right? Eternity, Sat, consciousness, Chit, Sat, Chit, right? Consciousness. You know certain things. You know sometimes what's right from wrong. You know that you shouldn't put your finger in fire, or, you know, when we were little, you have the fan and then you have a go at the fan, and you play around with material nature, and sometimes you get burned or you get caught, but you know that that's not right. But for example, the animals, as we know, the birds, they fly. Right? For thousands of kilometers, they go south or north depending on the season, correct? How do they know? Do they carry a GPS, or they took some training or a seminar or something like that? How do they know? Right? They know. They know where to go. They know how to come back. We may need all these things and call somebody and, whatever, satellite directions and all that. But they know. So consciousness is manifested according to the different bodies to different degrees, even in animals or even plants. So that's another aspect. One, it's Brahman, but the other one, it's called Paramatma, or super soul. The absolute truth is manifested in our hearts, and it's guiding us. And this last section, remember 3 sections, 18 chapters, the last section describes how is it that supreme, what do you call it? Intelligent design and all these names. Yeah, but it's a person. And this is explained in the Gita. And in chapter 15, he says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Anybody here remembers your previous life? No? Cannot even remember what happened last month. Right? What you were doing at this time 1 month ago, or 1 week ago sometimes. But this refers to a very kind of a mystical phenomena that happens. You see, we may be 80 years old. What's the average longevity in Australia? Anybody knows? How long do we live here? 80 to 90. I think it's 87, something like that. Yeah, 87. So okay, you make it to 97 or 90 or even 100. And you get now a letter from whom? You get a letter from King Charles. Jai, I got my letter. The very next day or sometime soon after, then you kick the bucket and then you go. Then where do you go? Right? According to the Gita, according to the Vedas, you take another birth. Hopefully in a human life. If you did some things which are serious transgressions of the law of life, the law of karma, etc., you may not have the chance to have a human body. But what happens then? We generally forget. It's exceptional when somebody remembers previous lives. There are. I think there was a fellow called Ian Stevenson or something like that, and he did, I don't know, 200, 300 studies with people who could remember previous lives. And they will record and you know, they will check that it's not that they found out. I mean, in the days that he did his studies, internet wasn't like now. Now I go to China and then I find so many things and I take some name and I say, oh, I was this and that. And, you know, in those days it wasn't like that. I don't know, maybe 40 years ago, whenever he did his studies. And there are people that sometimes exceptionally can remember or have a sense. I was there in Ireland and, you know, I saw this and I live by the sea and, you know, and people have regressions and how do they know, right? Sometimes it happens, but it's exceptional. But normally we forget. We forget who we were, where we were in previous lives. So this is what it's referred here. That from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And this is the part that we were looking for. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, which means the conclusion of the Vedas. And I am the knower of the Vedas. So what is Veda to start with? Veda means to know. Veda means knowledge. It's like a manual. When you buy something, nowadays, I understand not many people read manuals, but in the good old days, I remember whenever Dad bought something, yeah, and you know, the TV or whatever it was, it comes the manual, right? And then it tells you how to put it together and all that. And then also, it brought a section. I don't know if you remember, if you're old enough, and that section, especially when something wasn't working. How do you call that section? You guys are too young. Troubleshooting, right? Troubleshooting is a section of the manual that takes you through, helps you to understand or make things work when things are not breaking down or for some reason you don't understand, correct? So the Bhagavad-gita is the troubleshooting of the Vedas, right? Because when one starts getting old and sick and injured and about to die, then that wasn't the plan. Happy birthday to you, yeah? You know? We're going to have fun, nice weather, and I'm going to enjoy this, and the car and the girlfriend or this or that and the job and the house and I'm going to be happy. But then that generally doesn't work that way. And even if it works that way, if you have very, very good karma, at some point that starts deteriorating. And at some point that is about to go. Right? Imagine that. You made it. Super job, super this, super whatever. But then at one point it's going to go. So, the Vedas bring the knowledge of the Bhagavad-gita. What to do when things don't go the way we want them to go. So what are the Vedas? This is basically, it's a huge, massive Sanskrit library with information about science and spiritual knowledge, how to live a good life. Basically, that's the idea. But the most important thing about the Vedas, because it will take days, hours to make a presentation that makes justice to the importance of the Vedas. The main thing that we want to point out from the Vedas is that it gives us the deeper questions in life. And there are 3 questions. If you have some good memory, you may remember. We mentioned them last time. Anybody remembers? Who am I? That's the first one from the first 6 chapters. Who am I? What's my identity? What's the middle one? Where do we come from? What is my source? Huh? That's the middle section, 6 chapters. And the final one, which I always say is the most important one. Take care. Where am I going? What's my destination? Now what? Right? Especially at the end of life, okay, it's over. You hardly can run, you hardly can eat, you hardly can, do the basic functions that before was just normal. But when you're in 90s or nearly 100, what to speak if you cross that blessed line of 100 years? The letter may be coming, but other things are coming too. right? And then what? Then what? So the Vedas address that, but sort of amongst all this knowledge in a very hidden form, and that is Bhagavad-gita. That's Bhagavad-gita. So Veda actually means knowledge. Veda means knowledge. Veda means to know. So the Vedic knowledge, although we may think it's redundant, the Vedic knowledge help us to know. To know what? To know who we are, to know ourselves, to know where we come from, right? To know how we connect with everything and everyone. That's the meaning of yoga. And most importantly, where am I going? That's the purpose of understanding this knowledge. Now, a bit of historical records. I mean, I'm not going to go so much into details, but basically we find there are, what do you call that? Historians, right? Go around the world and then they do explorations and then they do excavations and they find, buildings from previous civilizations and things like all around the world. And practically, nowadays, there are civilizations practically all over the world that have some connection with some Vedic tradition, whether the symbols or the statues or something in the Sanskrit language, even so far as to in South America. There are, as you know, pyramids in Mexico, pyramids in Central America, and also temples of sorts with inscriptions that have Vedic connections, even in Peru or in Brazil. So, I'm from South America, so I grew up seeing things like that. But then when I started studying a little, and when I went to India, when I became somewhat familiar with the Vedas, then I started seeing the connection, right? And even some words in Sanskrit are connected to some words in Spanish or in Latin or with the local languages from there. So at some point, the Vedic knowledge was throughout the world. And the capital was in India. That's how it is described in the Bhagavatam and other scriptures. So we see that nowadays we find many of these Vedic, let's say, architecture and Vedic history, and we find them all over Asia, in Cambodia, you have Angkor Wat, and you go all over Thailand, Singapore, Nepal, Malaysia, and parts of Pakistan, Middle East, all that area you can see, and as I said, in many other areas in the world also. But without getting into the historical or geographical aspect of things in regards to the Vedas, the most important thing about the Vedas is that it gives us a gradual, just like a staircase, not a staircase to heaven like the song, but it's a different staircase that takes you to the spiritual world, right? Not only to heaven, because heaven is considered, according to the Vedas, part of this material world, but sometimes the connotation, the religious connotation is that, that's where we are all going after we die. So the Vedic scriptures explain how to advance, how to progress, how to go higher. Not only in bodily terms, not only sometimes, for example, many people uses the practice of yoga to increase their flexibility or their looks or their health, like that. And that's okay. I mean, of course, we don't have to destroy our body and eat wrongly and sit wrongly and all those things. That's good. But the ultimate aim of yoga, it's explained in the Bhagavad-gita. And what is that ultimate aim of yoga? As Krishna explained in the end of the 6th chapter, he explained, think of me. He says, think of me, the absolute truth, the Supreme Person. Think of me. Control your mind, control your senses, and be able to think in the higher realm, in the absolute truth. So this is the process. Of course, many stairs as you can see. So the Vedas describe different things, and the Gita summarizes all that and explains to us. For example, let's not be too philosophical, too esoteric here. I think I asked this question last week. Sorry, my memory. Sometimes I don't know what I said, where, and with whom, and when. For example, something very practical. The Bhagavad-gita recommends us to improve our consciousness. Something that we do every day. What do you think that is? Something that helps us to improve our consciousness. Meditation. You do that every day? Eating. Thank you. Eating. Every day. And you know, when people stay down there in the Krishna village in that area, and then you have, when I drive back from work or from outside, and then I see everyone, walking up, right? And then in the morning, what is it, 8:30, and the evening is whatever, 6:15 or something like that. Everyone is clapping. No one knows what they're clapping and what they're singing, but everyone's a little hungry, and everyone's excited. I'm going to eat. But this has a deeper meaning, and the deeper meaning is that it's food that has been blessed. It's food that has been offered to Krishna. It's food that it's produced, cooked, prepared with a different set of beliefs and consciousness. Not only is clean and healthy, but it's also spiritually surcharged. It's surrounded by what's called mantras. Mantra is a combination of two words. Man means mind. In Sanskrit, mana, mind, like we say mental or maniac. It's a maniac, right? Right? The maniac, it's the mind. The mind is going crazy, demoniac. So when devotees cook, they chant mantras, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And then the atmosphere is purified, right? So food is very important. And as the saying goes, you are what you eat. You are what you eat. And the first sacrifice, the first action of purification in the Bhagavad-gita in chapter 3 is eat food which is sanctified, which is blessed, which is pure. Right? Because, just to make it extreme, if you eat something which is rotten, for example, right? And you get food poisoning, correct? You're sick, and you cannot think straight, maybe you have to go to the hospital and lose consciousness, God knows. In the opposite way, inversely, if we eat something which is pure, it's very satisfying, it's very enlivening also, the tissues of the body, it is said, sometimes you get purified. Just the smell of the prasadam, not only because you're hungry, but because you know what it means. Now, that is in the temple, in the ashram. It's not exclusively that happens in the ashram. You can do it in your house, your home, your apartment, on the road. You have an apple, you have an orange, you just be conscious, can sing some mantras, and purify, or how can we say, rewrite the narrative in your consciousness about what you're about to do. Now that I have $10 or credit card or whatever, I just buy whatever I want and just put it in my mouth without doing any conscious effort to understand that this is not produced in the supermarket, this is produced elsewhere, therefore I am conscious of that and grateful of that. That is what's called prasadam. That's why, in many other religious lines is we do prayer and we do grace, right? And like that. That's the concept. So the Vedas emphasize that in this human life, we are given some duties, right? The Vedas explain that as soon as you are born, it's like you have, when babies are born, they are given this, bracelet, or what do you call those, with their names, tags. They tag them, right? Give them a name. So in the same way, the Vedas say, as soon as you have a human form, you are meant to ask these 3 spiritual questions. You are meant to inquire. And what those questions, who am I? Where do I come from? And where am I going? Only humans can cognitively understand those 3 questions or find the answer for those 3 questions. So the Vedas encourage us to think what is beyond life, what is beyond this bodily life. Huh? And it therefore gives us the concept of karma and reincarnation. So it's not only, I don't know what's your calculation, how long you think you're going to be, but I always say, I'm going to live 80 something. I don't know, somehow I have this thing, Maybe I live less or maybe I live longer than that. But, okay, but even if you make it to that age or further, then what? What is beyond that? That's what the Vedas are encouraging us to understand. And so, the Vedic foundation in terms of knowledge is the existential identity is only perceived through meditation, right? You said that before. A spiritual discipline, that means you have to be regulated. You cannot just be like a party animal. Oh, I'm just gonna enjoy, till the sun comes up and I don't care about anything, no rule, no regulation. I don't care about my health. I don't care what people say. I don't care what anybody else. I don't give a damn. No, that's animal life, according to the Vedic perspective. And it's very important to, in this process, if you want to improve your life, improve your consciousness, to study Shastra, and the books, the scriptures. And not only study them, but also apply them. In fact, the most important thing of us reading a spiritual book is that we apply it, right? Because we can learn it like a parrot and just memorize verses and and say the whole thing in Sanskrit or in whatever language. But then when it comes for us to put the handbrake, to stop our senses, to regulate our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, and our relationships, then we do quite the opposite of what the book recommends, right? So these are some points that I just wanted to mention, that what is the direction of the Vedas? The Vedas encourage us to, instead of going out, right, in the world, it's going in. Not in the biological or material way, but rather in the spiritual sense. Huh? We need to understand who are we. It's called self-realization, the science of self-realization. Right? And once we understand that, then we can understand what is our place in the universe. Why am I here for 80 plus years or 100 years or whatever? That is what the Bhagavad-gita explains us. What is our goal in life? Right? Now, there are more seats there. Yeah, you can. That's all right. All good. All right. Thank you for coming. All right. So, question for you. Not $1 million question, but I don't have that much money. But what do you think is normally the goal in life for most people, you may say? I mean, we don't know most people, but what is your perception? What do you think it's the goal of life? Anybody? Any opinions? Yeah. Fulfillment, happiness, pleasure. Yeah? Good. Yeah. Okay. All right. To find something further than that. Yeah, more than that. Right. Okay. All right. But in general terms, what people are looking for? Purpose? Yeah. Yeah. Family? Yeah. Relationship. Every time the Vedas encourage us that every time we do what we call some philosophical exploration, you ask why. Why is people looking for? Let's focus on that one. Why family? Why is important relationships? Why family? Do you think? I mean, we are in this boat. I know you don't know. I know. But why do we think that family is so important? Anyone? Legacy. Yeah. The dynasty. Yeah. Relationships. Connection. Very important. Very important. In fact, there is a study, I think it's the longest study in history that a single educational institution has performed, and is still going on. I think by now they are 80 years into it. Harvard University. What makes people most happy? What makes people most happy? It's on YouTube everywhere. He's an old fellow there, but very clever. And you know what the answer? What's the finding so far? I read that or saw that. I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, but it's still going, still alive. I think one of the main scientists. What do you think is the finding? Family, exactly. Relationships. When people have more fulfilling relationships, people die happier. Okay? I'm talking in material sense. Why? Because in the material context, we have this strong bond with the people that we come from, our family. Father, mother, brothers, sisters, friends, this and that. These are my people. These are my crew. These are my tribe, my mob, whatever you want to call it. Relationship. Now, let's put a clause there. At the same time, guess where is the most pain that you experience in your life? I'm saying emotionally, come from. So two sides of the same coin. The people that are closest to you are the ones that give you more pain. Yeah? All right. So it's like, oh, what do I do then with this coin? I turn it like this. It's like, So, therefore, the Bhagavad-gita comes in. As I was saying, this is like a manual, right? And we have analyzed this is common sense. So, what happens when things don't work? What did we call it? The troubleshooting of life. That is Bhagavad-gita. So the essence of Bhagavad-gita explains basically 5 points. Where do we come from? The absolute truth, the supreme source. The soul, that means you and I, the living entity, the Atma. Right? Material nature sometimes is compared to, here in Mawulimba is very beautiful. I always say, I'm not tired of saying this. I've been here 2.5 years almost. Not tired. This is one of the most beautiful places on earth. As long as I know, places that I have been, this is amazing. But it's compared, according to the Vedic teachings, to a prison. Right? That sounds very depressive. Right? Why is it compared to a prison? Why would you say it's compared to a prison? Anyone? Why would this world, even as beautiful as the Northern River, Tweed Valley, whatever, why would be compared to a prison? What are the similarities? Yeah, you can't get out. And we are sentenced. What are the sentence? Happy birthday, old age, disease and death. You have to have them. As soon as one is born, it is certain. What's the mortality rate in Australia? 100%. No longevity, mortality, 100%. Everybody has to go through. This is a very cruel jail, right? But there's only one exception, right? There's only one exception. Anyway, these are the 5 topics that are described in the Bhagavad-gita. Absolute truth, the source, the soul, we, material nature, the prison, time. Are you local? Are you from here? Or from England? And you came all the way from England to here? Whereabouts did you land? In Melbourne. And then you drove or flew? You drove? Oh, you're brave. But if you go to the, what do you call that? The Gold Coast Airport. The Gold Coast Airport, right? You have arrival and you have departure. And what you do in between, that's all what we have in this lifetime. Right? Because we arrive, that's called maternity ward, yeah? Happy birthday to you, and everyone's happy and the whole thing, yeah? And then what's departure? Funeral parlor or the crematory or one of those places. So the important thing is what happens in between. That is the only time that we have, right? So time is mentioned here. And action, what do you do during that time? You have a set amount of time. What do? Action, karma, right? So, I want to leave you with this, the essence of existence. Who are we? That's the first level of understanding described in the Bhagavad-gita. Who are we? The Gita starts with a very nice analogy that explains who we are not. Right? Sometimes in order for us to understand something clearly, it's easier. My background is a counselor. Sometimes when people call and they are confused, whoever they are, whatever age, I generally ask them, what you don't want in life. That's very easy to answer. I don't want this, I don't want to suffer, I don't want this, I don't want this boss, this person, and da 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 da. But if I ask them, what do you want? And they always say, oh, good question. Because we are always bombarded by situations that are uncomfortable and incompatible with our true nature. So it's easier to know what you don't want than what you want. That's like a rule of thumb. So the Gita gives us some Vedic goals. What are our duties in terms of a spiritual life? What is the true meaning of enjoyment? Like we are maybe half an hour away from honoring Prasadam. Are you able to stay for Prasadam? To have some food later? You all? Yeah? Okay, so we officially invite you to the Prasadam program, right? All the way from England. So we're going to enjoy when we eat, right? It better be good, right? I mean, tasty and, healthy and all that. And also we need some finances, yeah? We don't live from air. We're not yogis that advanced. And finally, the common word, moksha, liberation. Moksha, liberation. How can I be free? How can I get out of this prison? I don't want to die again and again and again, being born and pay taxes and go to school and learn how to walk and learn how to talk and learn how to ride all over again. I don't know if you were fans of your schooling days, high school, primary, do all over again. Hey, again, what am I going to study? Should I do this? I want to change careers. No, I will do that. And then once you graduate, which job? And then you have to go and, beg for a few jobs here and there and work for, 30 years, 35 years. And then what happens when you already have completed your working life? What do? You're too young for that. What do? Retired. Retired because you're tired, yeah? You're retired. And they may give you a pen, a gold pen, or some picture, or some frame, some cheap thing, But basically, you are not longer useful to the company, right? So the Gita explains that you may work, you may study, you may have family and whatever you want, but internally you have to do some work. Internally you have to do some work. And that work means to clean our consciousness and define your mission in life. If I ask you, I will ask you, but you don't have to answer. What is your mission in life? I mean, we run seminars like on the weekend, sometimes. And we do a bit of an exercise. We give you an empty piece of paper, and then we ask you, what's your mission in life? So you will write something. Generally, we do it in the beginning, if it's 10 days or 3 days or whatever. And then you write something, and then at the end of the seminar, then we ask you to edit that. If you want to expand it, you want to improve it, whatever you want, So it's important for us to ask ourselves, what is my goal in life? What is my mission? I just want to enjoy my body, work hard, get some money, have some good time with my friends and family, and then what? Right? That is what the Bhagavad-gita prompts us to ask. And forgive me those who were here last week, because sometimes, as I said, I forget what I said and what I'm not. And I just saw here, I think, I don't know what is this, but it caught my attention. Somebody may have put it together. This is something that we generally use in these sort of presentations. The question of this booklet is, what would you do if you would have only 7 days to live? What would you do if you would have only 7 days to live? And this comes from a very profound incident thousands of years ago when a young emperor was cursed. Yeah? Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed. And he was given the curse that after 7 days he will die. Right? And that pastime is for us to ask ourselves, what would I do? So when I came and I saw this, I thought, oh, that's interesting. Right? But I asked the questions. You don't have to answer. This is self-realization. You do it on your own. What would you do? Where would you go? Whom would you talk to? Huh? Would you just cry and repent and regret? What would you do? So that's sort of questions the Bhagavad-gita and its sequel, the Bhagavatam, present. Okay? So the homework for all of us is based on the Vedas. This is the essence of the Vedas. This is the first question of the Vedas. Is in Sanskrit, as you can see, atato. Atato means now. And Brahma means spiritual. Jigyasa. What is spiritual? Who am I spiritually? What is my spiritual happiness? And how to obtain it? Okay? So these are some points. As you can see, there's so much, but the Bhagavad-gita summarizes that, those instructions from the Vedas, and we are further trying to summarize the Bhagavad-gita. So you have Bhagavad-gitas here. You can take one and leave a donation, right, Mother Suvarna? Yeah? The Bhagavad-gitas are here, and anybody who's interested, you can take some all the way back to... when are you going back? Friday. Back to England? To India. First India and then England. Oh, take me with you. To India at least. Leave me there. Yeah. I just came from India 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we were there for a few days. So, yeah, that's the question. Spiritually, okay, materially we say, okay, where are you going? What's your destination? But spiritually, where are we going? So we may say, well, I'm too young, I'm healthy, I don't have any issues. Why should I bother about that? That's just going to depress me. I don't think about that. No, but the point is that you have to prepare yourself. Just like an exam. You don't wait to get ready for the exam when the exam day comes. You are meant to prepare before, right? Yes or yes? Right? You have to. Yeah. So in the same way, the final test, the final exam is the time of death. So I don't want to spoil your appetite, so we just leave it at that. You have to be encouraged, right? So welcome, all the way from London or elsewhere? Oh, Leicester, I've been there, yeah. Beautiful place, yeah. And yes, please read the Bhagavad-gita. The Bhagavad-gita, as I said, is the essence of the Vedas, and Vedas means knowledge, and like the manual, and the Gita is, what did I say? What did I compare? If the Vedas are the manual, what is the Bhagavad-gita? The troubleshooting of the Vedas. That's Bhagavad-gita. What to do when I don't know what to do. All right? What to do when things go south, sour, pear-shaped, whatever. Old age, death, disease. And how to live a happy life eternally. Okay? Thank you. Any questions? Go for it. No, I repeat it. Mm-hmm. Subtle? Did you say subtle? Well, through the subtle body, you process what's going on with your gross body. The subtle body is also material, The gross body is generally the one that, let's say, if you break something and age and get sick and all that. And according to the Gita, the function of the subtle body, apart from other things, is to take you to the next body. So the subtle body encapsulates your connection. It's called ahankara or ego. Ego means identity, whatever language is that, Latin or Greek. Ego means identity. So we have this false ego or false identity. And you think, I'm male, I'm British, or I'm this, or I'm whatever it is. And we carry that, right? If we don't work on that in this lifetime, we carry that to our next body. So the subtle body goes with us, right? Now, if we purify the gross body by, how do we purify the gross body? We just mentioned it. The first thing that the Bhagavad-gita recommends. The first thing. No. Prasadam. Eating. Eating is the first spiritual sacrifice that the Bhagavad-gita recommends, chapter 3. So, purify the body, and we purify the mind by mantra. Mantra and these sort of discussions, right? We are thinking, oh, is it true? No, I don't believe, I don't agree, whatever. But we are engaging the mind. So the more we utilize the mind, the more we engage the mind in thinking. Remember how many thousand thoughts per day? 60, 80, whatever, a lot. That's what it is. The more we engage the mind in the spiritual thoughts, then the more the subtle body will direct us into a spiritual destination. Does it make sense? Yeah? If it's more materialistic, right, it will lead us onto a material destination. If it's more spiritual, then it will lead us to a spiritual destination. Even if we don't achieve perfection in this lifetime, again, Krishna instructs Arjuna, because Arjuna asks several questions. The Gita is questions and answers. So one of the questions that Arjuna asks is, what happens if I fail? What happens if I fail? Chapter 6. What happens if I fall down? I break all the rules and I blew it. I try for some time, but I blew it. So Krishna says, in this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. In every endeavor, in every little 1% growth or advancement you made, what happens is that at the time of, let's say you practice until whatever, 1% advancement or 10% advancement, and then you die, right? Or you stop that and you didn't do any more advancement. So in the next life, you start at 10% or maybe 11%, I don't know, but somewhere there, right? So whatever advancement we achieve in this lifetime, in the next lifetime, we continue that. And mostly is by the mind and consciousness. Because the moment of death, according to the Gita, chapter 8, determines, what we are thinking determines our next body. Right? Determines our next body. And if we die thinking, I want to advance spiritually, I want to connect with the Supreme Truth, I want to, right, achieve self-realization, God-realization, Satchit Ananda, that's what next body it's going to allow us to. And then we're born in these bodies like that, boy or girl, the son or daughters of devotees, and right? She was born here in the farm. There you go. So that's the prop, right? So these boys are these little. They're not even thinking. They don't even but they didn't last life. They're just doing it, imitating and running around, because they were here last lives. That's according to the Bhagavad-gita. It says, actually, let me read it since we have that special effect, right? Krishna says, listen, and just, you decide if it makes sense or not. 6:47, I think. No. Okay. It says, the unsuccessful yogi, that means that we stop our practice. After many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities in heaven, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. That means you don't have to worry about money. Or, another option, if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, the practitioner, he or she, takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists. That means people who are advancing, transcending, transcendentalists, who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. It's not ordinary that when you are born in the family of devotees. On taking such a birth, this is the part, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. And he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. So it's there, isn't it? Right? It says, by virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically, he says, you wake up automatically, you, open your eyes, brush your teeth, you do things automatically, you don't even think. Because you're trained to do that, right? Your mother, father, whoever, right? Automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles. Even without seeking them. They just take birth and that's it. Run around, water tulsi, haribol, prasadam, every day. That's nothing else. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Meaning, this is only paper and ink unless they are applied. So, whenever we apply it, our consciousness gets purified, and at the time of death, after our death, we achieve a body that is conducive for further advancement, if we haven't achieved perfection then. So that's, as we can see, a very tangible example, vivid example of what Krishna is saying. All right, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Oh, another one. Carry on. Yeah. Yeah. Normally, yes. Exceptionally, not. It could be we have, cats that come around, or cow or something, or but it's normally human body, and that Krishna explains that. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhagavad-gita ki, Jai Gaur Premanandi. Iksvaku Das. Yes, Arti. I don't know exactly. Hey, look. What time is Arti? 6:30. 6:30.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.